The Texas women's basketball team is headed back to the Final Four, and I don't think there's another team playing better ball right now. We will recap the Longhorns' dominant win over Michigan, talk about the Horns' chances to win the national championship coming up next, right here on Locked On Longhorns. Intro.
You are Locked On Longhorns, your daily podcast on the Texas Longhorns. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in. You're locked on to the Texas Longhorns. I'm your host, BK Brad Kellner. The Texas women's basketball team is headed back to the Final Four for the second straight year. The Longhorns getting to the final weekend of the NCAA women's tournament. And man, this time around, they did it in dominant fashion, absolutely destroying the Michigan Wolverines in the Elite Eight in Fort Worth earlier tonight, 77-41. The final. No, that's not a misspeak. No, it's not a misprint. It's not a typo. That was the final score. Texas picking up a 36-point win in the Elite Eight. At one point, the Longhorns led by 40. About midway through the fourth quarter, they put on an absolute show for what was a very partisan Texas crowd in Fort Worth at Dickies Arena earlier tonight. What an impressive showing by Texas. Look, any Elite Eight win you will take, but to look like that against a number 2 seed, a Michigan team that was really good throughout their season and throughout their tournament, I mean, that was a statement made by the Texas women's basketball team. Wow. Wow. I mean, the Longhorns were ready to go pretty much from the opening tip. Texas jumped out to an 18-4 lead. The Horns started 9 for 9 from the floor. And Michigan could not do anything when they were on offense, and the Longhorns could not miss. It was the perfect start. You couldn't have scripted anything better. And it looked like early on we were headed towards a huge blowout. It took a little bit of time for things to really get out of control, but Texas jumped out to that huge lead. The Longhorns offense kind of stalled a little bit in the second quarter, and Texas scored just 12 points in the second quarter. And they started 9 for 9. They started 11 of 12. Then they went 4 for their next 22. And despite the offensive struggles, the Longhorns were still up by double digits because of the elite defense that they played and the fact that Michigan just could not get anything going all night. But then in the second half, once the Longhorns kicked that offense back in full gear, they really turned it into a beatdown. And again, at one point leading by 40 points in this one. Wow. I mean, I don't even know where to begin. What a balanced effort by Texas on both ends of the floor. I guess we should start with the defense, right? Holding a Michigan team that averaged nearly 84 points per game going into tonight. One of the best and most efficient offenses in women's college basketball. I mean, Michigan was really, really good. And Texas held them to just 41 points on 23% shooting. Michigan scored 9 points in the first quarter, 12 in the second, 8 in the third, and 12 in the fourth. They never figured it out. Their backcourt, we heard so much about Silas Swords and Olivia Olson, how they were going to create problems for Texas. They combined to go 5 for 28 from the floor and 2 of 13 from beyond the arc. I mean, this Texas defense has been great under Vic Schaefer pretty much from the moment he took the job in Austin. This year's group, obviously no exception, and they ratcheted up to a whole nother level. They really have in this entire tournament. Heck, you can go back to the regular season. I mean, once, after the Longhorns got blown out in Vanderbilt towards the end of the SEC regular season, I mean, Texas has been a completely different team. Remember, they got crushed in Nashville, and Vic Schaefer in the postgame press conference called out his team, said they were soft. He questioned their toughness. He was saying this is one of the weakest teams that I've ever coached, and it was shocking to hear, considering that was the Longhorns' third loss of the year, and they were still a top 5 team in America. But Vic Schaefer did not hold anything back. He unloaded on his team after that performance. And I'll be honest, I was like, are you sure we should be criticizing them? Again, top 5 in the country, only their third loss. They're playing really well. Why are we calling them out like this? Well, Vic Schaefer knows what he's doing because since then, Texas has won 12 games in a row. Obviously, you've got the SEC tournament championship in there. You've got the regional championship in there. And not only are the Longhorns winning these games, but they are blowing teams out to get here. I mean, Texas has played 4 games in the NCAA tournament, y'all. These games are supposed to be tough. It's the tournament. The Longhorns' smallest margin of victory in their first 4 tournament games is 22 points. That was in the Sweet 16 with their win over Kentucky, and the Longhorns were up by 18 after the first quarter and pretty much put it on cruise control after that. I mean, Texas has not been challenged yet in this tournament. And obviously, they got a 16 seed in round 1, but then an 8 seed, a 5 seed, and a 2 seed. They have made quick work of some really good teams in women's college basketball. And tonight's win was the 16th against a ranked opponent for Texas this year. That is not only the most in the sport this year, that is the most for a women's college hoops team since UConn back in 2010. That's right. You got to go back 16 years to find a women's college basketball team that has more ranked wins in a single year than the 2026 Texas Longhorns. They're tested, and they are passing pretty much every test. And right now they're passing them with flying colors. By the way, the Longhorns will get UCLA in the Final Four, the national semifinal coming up next weekend in Phoenix. We'll spend more time throughout the week previewing that matchup, but I'll tell you all right off the bat, Texas looks better than UCLA right now. UCLA was down 8 points at halftime in their Elite Eight matchup. They did come back and beat Duke by double digits, but they struggled for a lot of that game yesterday against the Blue Devils. Texas, again, jumped out to an 18-4 lead, and Michigan never cut it to single digits after that. And oh, by the way, UCLA's 35-1 on the season, their only loss to Texas. That was way back in November. Maybe some things have changed with both of these teams, but same rosters, same coaches. The Longhorns beat UCLA on a neutral floor 76-65 in a game that Texas led by 20 points at halftime. So the Longhorns aren't going to be scared just because UCLA is really good and they're going to be wearing their home jerseys because they're technically a higher seed. They're both 1 seeds, but UCLA, the number 2 overall seed, and Texas, the number 3 overall seed. The Longhorns are not going to be scared. They wouldn't be face playing anybody right now, but they know that they can hang with this UCLA team. Hell, forget hang. They know they can beat this UCLA team. So they're going to be very confident. And with the way they are rolling right now, how can you not be? Again, Michigan, 23% shooting from the floor, 2 of 15 from beyond the arc. Texas forced 15 turnovers in this one. Just total domination. The Longhorns also plus 17 on the glass. The Wolverines had no answers for the size of the Texas Longhorns. Not a lot of teams do. I mean, Texas's 2-headed monster down low with Brea Cunningham and Kyle Oldacre, they're tough for anybody to defend. But the fact that Texas is able to make 2 seeds look like that, I mean, Cunningham 5 of 6 from the floor, Oldacre 4 of 5. She had a double-double with 12 points and 11 rebounds. She was so good in the second half. She looked like, you say man against boys when talking about men's sports. She looked like a woman against girls out there. I think on the TV broadcast, they said it's like the older kid on the playground just holding the ball above their head, or the older sibling, the younger sibling trying to swipe at the ball, and there's absolutely nothing they can do. And that was Kyle Oldacre, just bigger, stronger, badder than anybody on Michigan tonight. Texas's size playing a huge role in this one. Madison Booker doing her thing. 15 points in the first half, ended with 19. Justice Carlton with 15. Rori Harmon, how about 13 assists for her to go along with her 7 points? And even Sarah Graves hit a shot towards the end. That's when you know life is good. Sarah Graves gets inserted into the game. The crowd goes nuts. It's always the loudest cheer of every Texas women's game when she gets onto the floor. And she only gets onto the floor if it's a blowout. This one was a blowout. Graves got her chance and a nice little sidestep crossover to create some space and bury that bucket in the final minutes. That was awesome. I mean, the icing on the cake, the cherry on top, the sprinkles, whatever you want to call it. Texas didn't need that, but that was really, really cool to see. I mean, the Longhorns got contributions from everybody. 11 different players played, 10 of them scored, and it was just total dominance from this Texas women's basketball team. The only sort of disappointment from this game tonight, and you're really nitpicking when the team wins by 36, Jordan Lee had a rough day shooting the ball. She was 2 of 17 and 0 for 8 from three-point land. She's maybe the best shooter on this entire team. Just didn't have it tonight. And hey, that's fine. Everyone else picked up the slack. If you're going to have an off night shooting the rock, do it when your team is able to spot you a 36-point victory. But look, the level of competition is going to increase when the Longhorns take their talents out west to Phoenix. Jordan Lee can't go 2 for 17 and for Texas to be able to win a national championship, because that's absolutely the goal. And getting to the Final Four is great. You get to cut nets. You get to hang a banner in Moody Center. That's awesome. But we know Texas can do that under Vic Schaefer. They did that last year. Now you want to take that next step. And first of all, it's getting to the national championship game. The Longhorns lost in the national semi last year, but obviously you'd like to cut down some more nets in Phoenix. And there is no team in women's college basketball playing better than Texas right now. UConn is not even playing as well as Texas. UConn had a 6 seed, now a very talented 6 seed in Notre Dame with Hannah Hidalgo as one of the best players in the sport. But that was a bit of a dogfight between the Huskies and the Fighting Irish yesterday. No pun intended. UConn won by double digits. There weren't too many moments where you felt like they were going to lose, but against a 6 seed, they did not look nearly as impressive as Texas did against a 2 seed in the Longhorns Elite 8 matchup. Texas plus 142 in the scoring differential department in their first 4 games of this NCAA tournament. That's an SEC record, the most ever, or the highest point differential ever for an SEC team entering the Final Four. The Longhorns have done that. Plus 142, y'all. These games are supposed to be tough. Elite 8 games, these aren't supposed to be easy. And Texas is just steamrolling teams. Anybody who's in their way is getting run over right now. And with the way this team has played, again, since that Vanderbilt loss, man, I feel like they can take anybody in the country. I really do. I'm not overlooking UCLA, but I even think Texas can beat UConn right now. That is how good this team is on both ends of the floor. And there are so many different ways Texas can beat you. Obviously, Maddy Booker and Rori Harmon dominate the headlines. They should. They're the 2 best players on this team. Booker, the All-American. Harmon, I mean, if Texas wins a national championship, they might build a statue for Rori Harmon outside of Moody Center. And I don't think anybody would have any problem with that. One of the best athletes in University of Texas Longhorns history. She is a monster and the heartbeat of this team. Those 2 get the headlines. And again, they've earned them, but it's not just them. I mean, Jordan Lee can go off on any night. Obviously, tonight, not her night. Justice Carlton's great. Brea Cunningham's great. Kyle Oldacre, again, 12 and 11. Brianna Preston coming off the bench as a point guard is very good. Aaliyah Crum. This team, there's so many different ways to beat you. And even if one of the star players doesn't have their A game, Texas can still mop the floor with you like they did tonight. And as Bless said, by the way, if you're tuned into the live stream, thank you very much. Number one, and hit me in the comment section. Yeah, Michigan, full court press. Look, I always kind of laugh when teams try to full court press this Texas team. And it's not like they only do it against Texas. That's how they play defense. They're aggressive. They play defense 94 feet. But, I mean, that's the defense Texas goes up against in practice every single day. And nobody plays the full court pressure defense better than Texas. So there is no opponent going up against the Longhorns that is going to be better than what the Longhorns have to do in practice every day. So Texas can break their own press, which obviously they can. Then Michigan stood no chance. It was easy for Texas tonight. They did everything right. Yeah, Kyla is a beast. Just took the number 2. I'm telling you. I mean, Texas was a 9.5-point favorite in this game. So the Longhorns, again, they were favored to win. They were expected to win. And 9.5 points, that's relatively comfortable. But they won by 36. They quadrupled the FanDuel spread in this game. That's insane. I would have been happy with a 10-point win, 12-point win, 15-point win, whatever. Heck, I would have been happy with a 2-point win because it would have meant the Longhorns were still dancing. But to do what they did against a Michigan team that's really, really good, very well coached, and was 28-6 on the year going into this game, that's why I'm feeling like Texas has a real shot to win the whole thing. That's the only thing left to do. Job's not finished. Job's not finished for Texas. This is a group that absolutely can win a national championship, and now they are 2 wins away. Scott Massey says, Vic with his Augie rant. Yeah, that's a pretty good comp. The legendary Augie Garrido rants that sparked Texas to a Big 12 championship. Obviously, in the locker room, everyone's seen this video 100 times by now. RIP to the legendary Augie Garrido. But yeah, that was kind of Vic Schaefer, and Vic's wasn't in the locker room. It was at a press conference setting for the entire world to see and hear. He didn't pull any punches. And again, at the time, I was like, wow, are we sure we should be doing this? That's why Vic gets paid the big bucks. That's why he's one of the best coaches in the sport. He knows what he is doing and what a job he's done building up this program now in his 6th season in Austin. This thing has some staying power. I know we're not looking ahead beyond this year because there's still some special things that can happen this year, but I know Texas is going to lose Rori Harmon and a couple of other key pieces, but a lot is coming back, and the way Vic Schaefer is recruiting, both out of high school and in the portal, this is not a one-off. Pretty obvious. The Longhorns have been in the Final Four 2 years in a row. I don't think the streak is going to stop here. I really don't. This team is really good, and this program is really, really good right now. And, man, credit to Chris Del Conte. I don't know how many times we've said this on Locked On Longhorns. The guy just knows what he's doing. A great hire by going out and getting Vic Schaefer from Mississippi State, who had plenty of success there, took the Bulldogs to a national championship game while he was there, was able to win a bunch in the SEC. He was the hire to replace Karen Aston, and he's done an amazing job. So tip of the cap to CDC, but obviously Vic Schaefer and the girls deserve all the credit for this run. Man, it has been a lot of fun. 12 straight victories for the Longhorns. And again, they have cut down nets twice in the last month. Once in Greenville with that blowout, basically true road victory against South Carolina in the SEC Tournament Championship. By the way, if Texas does get South Carolina's playing right now against TCU. Maybe when you're watching this, the game is already over. I'm just assuming because the other 3 number 1 seeds won their Elite 8 games that South Carolina is going to get the job done. If South Carolina gets to the Final Four and they upset UConn, if you're Texas, how can you not feel confident about going up against them either? And the Longhorns have beaten 2 of those teams already. UConn they haven't played. UConn hasn't lost. They're really, really good. We know that. But again, this team is experienced, they're talented, and they are confident right now. That is a dangerous combination for everybody else. Yeah, thanks, Kirk Bowles. Yeah, Kirk Bowles, I didn't read the article, but I saw Vic Schaefer called him out on Twitter for saying that his team was taking shots at Michigan. I don't know. I did see a video earlier today from like the concourse. Maybe it was like right near the tunnel leading out to the floor in between the locker rooms and the court, where like Texas was taking the court for warmups and all of the Michigan players were just like standing, like arms crossed, mean mugging Texas as they took the floor, like as an intimidation factor, maybe to try to get into the heads of this Texas women's basketball team. I thought it was stupid as hell at the time. You don't want to poke the bear. You don't want to wake the beast that is the Texas Longhorns. And now it looks even stupider. It was even dumber. Way to go, Michigan. I don't think it would have mattered. I think the result would have been the result, but trying to get in the heads of this Texas team, talking trash to this bunch, good luck. You're digging your own grave if you do that. I'd love for UCLA to pull a stunt like that on Friday in the next game. That'd be great if they want to try something like that, because I don't think you can rattle this group right now. I don't think you can. Unbreakable, unflappable. What a run. What a run. All right, double checking my notes here to make sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah, look, I mean, the Longhorns were 0 of 7 from 3 in the first half. They were 3 of 19 from 3 in this game. Now, Texas is not known for making a lot of threes. They don't take a lot, like 19, maybe close to a season high, if not a season high for the Longhorns in terms of attempts. But think about it. Usually, if you blow somebody out in college basketball, women's or men's, part of it has to do with the fact that you just made a bunch of threes and the other team didn't. Texas was 3 of 19 from beyond the arc. They shot 60% from 3, and they still won a game by 36. Well, because they dominated inside. Doubled up Michigan in terms of points in the paint. I mentioned this earlier, plus 17 on the glass. And well, the Longhorns are very good from the mid-range, like they always are. Madison Booker, the best mid-range player in the country. One of the best women's college hoops has ever seen. Yeah. That helped. But yeah, just 3 of 19 for Texas from beyond the arc, and they still ran away and hid with this one. 41 points in an Elite 8 game. This game was 69-29 midway through the fourth quarter. Michigan got lucky. They got kind of hot in the final 5 minutes just to crack 40. They didn't get to 30 until there was 5 minutes to go in the game. It's the Elite 8. Felt like a freaking preseason game for Texas. My God. Yeah, it was Sarah Graves. Do they credit Sarah Graves with a 3? I thought it was a 3, but I'm looking at the box score on ESPN right now, and it says she only has 2 points. Was that a 2, that final shot that she hit? If it's a 3, then maybe Texas made 4 threes. I'm just basing it off of ESPN.com, which maybe I should be looking at the Longhorns site, which connects to the official March Madness site. They probably have enough. That was a long 2. Okay, ESPN's got it right. Maybe I shouldn't be bashing ESPN so much. That was fun, y'all. There is nothing better than a stress-free postseason win. Regardless of sport, regardless of team, whoever you like, if they're able to just win a game in a postseason like that, that's as good as it gets. And Texas has done that 4 times at all 4 of their postseason games. We've not had to break a sweat. The jacket did come off for Vic Schaefer early in the third quarter. Mentioned that Texas went into a bit of a rut offensively. If they didn't have that stretch in like the latter half of the second quarter and the first 3 to 4 minutes of the third quarter, Texas could have won this game by 60, y'all. But the Longhorns only scored 12 in the second quarter. They didn't score a point for the first 3 minutes and 40 seconds of the second half. They started 0 for 7. They had a few bad turnovers, and Vic Schaefer ripped the jacket off. He was ticked. Even though the Longhorns were still up by double digits, I think it was 11 at the time, he was like, all right, this is ridiculous here. We are beating ourselves. We are keeping Michigan in this game because of some of the dumb stuff that we are doing. And then Rori Harmon hit a 3. That was the first bucket the Longhorns scored in the third quarter. And then Texas kicked it back into gear, and then the rout was on. Led by as many as 27 in the third. It was a 26-point game after the third. And then Texas started the fourth on a 14-0 run, a 2-touchdown run to take it from 26 to 40. And then, I mean, if you didn't already know it was over, then both teams could have left the floor, honestly. Texas could have gotten on the plane and taken off to Phoenix if they really wanted to, well before that game went final. Michigan has a Texas problem. Yeah, Michigan doesn't beat Texas in too many sports. Thankfully, the men's basketball teams did not have to play this year because I don't think that would have gone too well for the Texas men. But, yeah, the Longhorns, they beat Michigan a lot. And look, there's nothing to do with Texas, Michigan. I just felt like Texas was the way better team than the Wolverines tonight. But, yeah, it's crazy. Crazy. Texas has owned Michigan in recent years across a number of different sports. So there you go. Good audience. I wasn't sure what we were going to get for this post-game show, but hey, Longhorn Nation riding high. Texas back to the Final Four for the second straight year. It's the first time since 86-87 that the Horns have gone to the Final Four in back-to-back years. Obviously, Texas won it all in 1986. Pretty cool. Today, March 30th, this depends on when you're tuning in, but March 30th, the 40-year anniversary of Texas capping off their undefeated season, beating USC in the 1986 national championship game. 40-year anniversary. I know this is not a national title, but pretty cool that the Longhorns' last national championship coincides with this trip to the Final Four. Obviously hoping 40 years later, Texas can add title number 2 to the rafters at Moody Center. That was fun, y'all. That was a lot of fun. All right, that will do it. We'll talk more about this on tomorrow morning's show. We got some interesting quotes from Steve Sarkisian as well to talk about tomorrow. And what else do we have lined up? Oh, Texas got to commit. Texas football got to commit earlier today. So that'll be on tomorrow morning's episode. If you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Just tap that notification bell so you're always informed whenever we drop new content. And, yeah, I'll obviously be previewing Texas and UCLA throughout the week. The Longhorns will get maybe a day to celebrate. You know, Vic Schaefer is going to have them back to work very soon. Relatively quick turnaround with the semifinal coming up on Friday. The Longhorns will return home tonight, celebrate a little bit, and then prep for a big-time matchup against the number 1 seed UCLA Lady Bruins. All right, that'll do it for this one. If you made it this far, number 1, God bless you. Number 2, please remember to like, subscribe, share, leave a comment, rate 5 stars, all of those great things. Can't thank y'all enough for your continued support of Locked On Longhorns. Texas takes down Michigan easily, 77-41. The final, the Longhorns dancing their way to Phoenix, the second straight Final Four. That'll do it for this one. Until next time, horns up, mic's off. We'll see y'all soon. This is Locked On Longhorns. Oh, but before we go, this episode was sponsored by Supply House. You wouldn't show up on game day without a plan, right? And you wouldn't show up to a job without the right parts. That's why putting Supply House in your starting lineup is always the right call. Here are the stats. 300,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products, 500 tried and true brands. And guess what? 90% of the country is in the 1 to 2 day delivery zone. So if you need last minute coupling, a compressor, a press tool, anything, they've got it and they will get it to you quickly. Supply House is clutch. And if you're a pro in the trades, you can join the MVP of rewards programs and become a trade master. Pros get exclusive member-only pricing, priority shipping, industry-leading customer service, and the best part, it's all absolutely free. Visit supplyhouse.com/trademaster to learn more about becoming a trade master and use the promo code SH5College for 5% off your first order. Again, supplyhouse.com/trademaster, promo code SH5College. Supply House, real people, real service.